Let me ask you something most people never think about until it's too late. When was the last time you actually thought about your kidneys? Not your heart, not your liver, not your waistline, your kidneys, those two fist-sized organs quietly working around the clock, filtering about 50 gallons of blood every single day, pulling out waste, balancing your electrolytes, controlling your blood pressure, and keeping your bones strong by activating vitamin D. And here's the problem. Your kidneys don't have pain receptors the way your stomach or your muscles do, so they can be under attack for years, sometimes decades, before you feel a single symptom. By the time you notice swelling in your ankles or foamy urine or that constant tired, foggy feeling, a significant percentage of kidney function may already be compromised. And what's really unsettling is that some of the biggest threats to those kidneys aren't hiding in some chemical factory or some rare toxin. They're sitting in your kitchen, in your pantry, in your refrigerator, disguised as everyday foods you've probably eaten this very week without a second thought.
Today I want to walk you through 10 of them, one at a time, so you understand not just what they are, but exactly how they quietly stress your kidneys over time, because knowledge, when it comes to your health, is the cheapest insurance you will ever buy. Let's start with the one most people would never suspect: processed deli meats. That turkey or ham you're stacking on your sandwich for a healthy lunch is often loaded with sodium phosphate additives and preservatives and do two things your kidneys hate. They spike your sodium load, forcing your kidneys to work overtime to filter and balance it, and the phosphate additives, unlike the natural phosphorus found in whole foods, are absorbed almost completely by your gut, flooding your bloodstream far faster than your kidneys are designed to handle. Over months and years, that repeated phosphate surge has been associated with vascular calcification and added strain on kidney filtration. Next, let's talk about something that shocks almost everyone: dark colas and many sodas. Beyond the sugar, many of these drinks contain phosphoric acid, used simply to give that sharp, tangy flavor. But that acid load doesn't just disappear. It has to be neutralized and processed, and some research has linked regular cola consumption with a higher risk of kidney stones and declining kidney function over time, especially when it replaces water as your main source of hydration. Speaking of hydration, let's move to number 3, energy drinks. It's not just the caffeine. Though that alone can spike blood pressure and stress kidney blood vessels, it's the combination of that caffeine with excessive sugar, taurine, and sometimes herbal stimulants all at once, creating a perfect storm that can be particularly hard on kidneys that are already vulnerable, whether from prediabetes, high blood pressure, or simply age. Number 4 takes us to something that sounds almost too healthy to be a problem: excessive protein supplementation, especially from protein powders and bars consumed in large quantities by people chasing muscle gains. Your kidneys filter the nitrogen waste products created when your body breaks down protein, and while adequate protein is essential and healthy for most people, consistently pushing intake far beyond what your body needs, especially without enough water intake to match, can increase the filtration workload on kidneys that may already be under stress from other factors. Number 5 might surprise you: canned soups. Convenient, yes. But many canned soups contain sodium levels that can exceed 1,000 milligrams in a single serving, sometimes close to half of an entire day's recommended intake in one bowl. And that sodium doesn't just affect blood pressure, it directly affects how hard your kidneys must work to maintain fluid balance. Number 6, and this one catches people off guard: certain packaged breads and baked goods, which often contain phosphate-based preservatives and dough conditioners, again delivering that fast-absorbing inorganic phosphate load I mentioned earlier, hidden in something as innocent looking as a sandwich roll. Number 7 brings us to pickled and preserved vegetables. While vegetables themselves are wonderful for the body, the pickling and preservation process often means enormous added sodium. And for anyone with existing kidney concerns or high blood pressure, that jar of pickles or preserved relish can quietly undo a lot of otherwise healthy eating. Number 8 is one that health-conscious people rarely question: certain protein, heavy processed snack foods marketed as keto-friendly or low-carb, which frequently pack in sodium and phosphate additives to enhance shelf life and flavor, hiding behind a health halo that makes people eat more of them without realizing the cumulative mineral load they're taking in. We'll cover the final 2 on this list, plus the surprising warning signs your body may already be sending you in the next part. But for now, I want you to think back over the last week and count how many of these 7 you've actually eaten, because awareness is always step 1. Welcome back. If you just finished counting how many of those first foods made it onto your plate this past week, don't panic, because the goal here isn't guilt, it's awareness. And awareness is exactly what lets you make small changes before small problems become big ones. So let's pick up right where we left off with number 9 on our list. And this one might be the most controversial food I mentioned today: certain types of dark leafy greens and vegetables when consumed in unusually large quantities by people who already have compromised kidney function. Now, before you panic and throw out your spinach, understand this is not about the average healthy person enjoying a normal serving of vegetables. Leafy greens like spinach, beet greens, and Swiss chard are nutritional powerhouses packed with vitamins and antioxidants that your body genuinely needs. But they're also naturally high in oxalates, compounds that in people who are prone to kidney stones or who already have reduced kidney function can combine with calcium to form those incredibly painful calcium oxalate stones, which happen to be the most common type of kidney stone in the world. So the lesson here isn't avoid vegetables. It's about moderation, variety, and staying properly hydrated so those oxalates have a chance to move through your system rather than settling and crystallizing. And now the 10th and final food on our list, and I've deliberately saved this one for last because I think it's the most underestimated of them all. Added sugar, specifically the sugar hiding in foods you'd never think to associate with your kidneys. Things like flavored yogurts, cereals, sauces, and condiments. Here's the connection most people miss. Consistently high sugar intake is one of the leading drivers of insulin resistance, and over time, type 2 diabetes and diabetes remains the single leading cause of chronic kidney disease worldwide. It's not that sugar directly attacks kidney tissue the way, say, excess sodium or phosphate might. It's that sustained high blood sugar levels damage the tiny blood vessels inside the kidneys, the same delicate filtering units called nephrons that do the actual work of cleaning your blood. And once those tiny vessels are damaged, that damage is often permanent. So of everything on this list, chronic high sugar intake may honestly be doing more long-term silent damage than anything else we've discussed, simply because of how directly it's tied to diabetes and how quietly diabetes develops in the body, often over years, without a single obvious symptom. Now that we've gone through all 10, let's talk about something equally important. How do you actually know if your kidneys are already under stress? Because remember what I said at the start, your kidneys don't have pain receptors. So the warning signs your body sends are often subtle, easy to dismiss, and easy to blame on something else entirely. Watch for persistent fatigue that doesn't improve with rest or sleep, because as kidney function declines, waste products can build up in the blood and contribute to a constant low-grade tiredness. Watch for changes in urination. Foamy or bubbly urine can indicate protein leaking through kidney filters that should be keeping it in the bloodstream, while urinating far more or far less than usual, especially at night, can also be a signal worth paying attention to. Watch for swelling, particularly around the ankles, feet, or around the eyes in the morning, because when kidneys aren't efficiently removing excess fluid and sodium, that fluid has to go somewhere, and it often shows up as visible swelling. Watch for persistent itching, which happens because when kidneys can't filter waste products efficiently, those waste products can build up in the blood and irritate nerve endings in the skin. And watch for a metallic taste in your mouth or a loss of appetite, both of which can occur when waste buildup starts to affect your sense of taste and your digestive comfort. None of these symptoms on their own means you definitely have a kidney problem. Plenty of things can cause fatigue or swelling or changes in urination, but if you notice several of these together, and especially if they persist for more than a couple of weeks, that's worth a conversation with your doctor and a simple blood and urine test that can check your kidney function directly. The encouraging news in all of this is that your kidneys are remarkably resilient, and unlike some organs, they have a real capacity to stabilize and even improve their function when you remove the ongoing stressors. Cutting back on processed sodium, staying properly hydrated with actual water rather than sugary or caffeinated drinks, moderating protein intake to match your actual activity level, and getting your blood sugar under control if it's been creeping upward. In the final part, I'm going to walk you through the specific daily habits that actually support kidney health, the simple changes that make the biggest difference, and a few surprising truths about hydration that most people get completely wrong. All right, let's finish this off, because understanding the threats is only half the picture. What really matters is what you do starting today. So let's talk about the habits that actually protect and strengthen kidney function, starting with the one everyone assumes they already understand correctly, and that's hydration. Here's the truth most people get wrong. More water is not automatically better. Your kidneys are designed to process a certain volume of fluid efficiently, and while chronic dehydration absolutely stresses kidney function by concentrating waste products and increasing the risk of stone formation, chronically overloading yourself with excessive water can also throw off your sodium balance and, in rare but real cases, actually strain kidney function in a different way. The real goal is consistent, steady hydration throughout the day, small amounts regularly rather than large amounts all at once, and a simple way to gauge it is paying attention to your urine color, aiming for a pale, light yellow rather than dark amber or completely clear. Next, let's talk about sodium, because if there's one single change that makes the biggest difference for most people, it's this one. The average person consumes far more sodium daily than their kidneys are designed to comfortably process, and the fix isn't necessarily throwing away your salt shaker. It's becoming aware of hidden sodium in processed foods, Canned goods, sauces, and restaurant meals, which account for the overwhelming majority of sodium in most diets, far more than what people add themselves at the table. Reading labels, choosing fresh or frozen vegetables over canned when possible, and rinsing canned beans and vegetables before eating them can meaningfully cut your sodium load without you feeling like you're sacrificing flavor. Then there's protein, and here the key word is balance rather than elimination. Your body absolutely needs protein for muscle repair, immune function, and countless other processes, but matching your intake to your actual activity level, rather than assuming more is always better, keeps your kidneys from working overtime processing nitrogen waste they don't need to be dealing with. Pairing protein intake with adequate water and a diet rich in colorful vegetables also helps balance the acid load that high protein diets can create in the body. Let's talk about blood pressure next, because this is one of those areas where kidney health and cardiovascular health are so tightly connected that you genuinely cannot separate them. Your kidneys contain millions of tiny blood vessels, and chronically elevated blood pressure damages these delicate vessels over time, reducing the kidney's ability to filter effectively, which then paradoxically can raise blood pressure even further, creating a dangerous cycle. Regular physical activity, even something as simple as a brisk 30-minute walk most days of the week, managing stress levels, moderating alcohol intake, and when necessary, working with your doctor on appropriate medication, all play a direct role in protecting the delicate vascular network inside your kidneys. Now, let's address something people rarely connect to kidney health at all, and that's sleep. During deep sleep, your body regulates blood pressure and manages inflammation throughout the cardiovascular system, and chronic poor sleep has been associated with both elevated blood pressure and increased risk of developing chronic kidney disease over time. Prioritizing 7 to 9 hours of consistent quality sleep isn't just about feeling rested the next day. It's genuinely part of protecting your long-term kidney function. Let's also talk about something simple but often overlooked, and that's over-reliance on certain pain relievers, specifically non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs, when used frequently over long periods rather than occasionally as directed. Occasional use for an isolated headache or muscle ache is generally not something to worry about for most healthy people, but regular, long-term daily use, especially in higher doses, has been associated with reduced kidney blood flow and over years potential kidney damage, which is why it's always worth discussing frequent pain reliever use with your doctor rather than simply self-managing it indefinitely. Finally, let's talk about the single most powerful tool you have, and that's simply knowing your numbers. A basic blood test measuring creatinine levels combined with a simple urine test checking for protein can give you and your doctor a clear picture of kidney function, and this is especially important if you have risk factors like diabetes, high blood pressure, or a family history of kidney disease. Most people go years, sometimes decades, without ever having this simple, inexpensive test done, simply because nobody prompted them to ask for it. And yet it remains one of the most valuable early warning systems available for catching kidney stress before it becomes kidney damage. So here's what I want you to take away from everything we've covered today. Your kidneys are quiet, resilient, hardworking organs that rarely complain until they're already under real stress, which means the responsibility for protecting them falls on the small, consistent choices you make every single day, not on dramatic overhauls or extreme diets. Look at what's in your kitchen right now. Think honestly about how often those 10 foods we discussed show up in your week. And consider one simple swap you could make starting today. Maybe it's choosing fresh vegetables over canned. Maybe it's swapping your afternoon soda for water. Or maybe it's simply asking your doctor for that basic kidney function test at your next visit. Small, informed choices repeated consistently over time are what truly protect these two remarkable organs that work for you every single moment of every single day without ever asking for a single word of thanks.